So before we begin, let's set the rules. Number 1. To defeat a boss, I have to kill them without getting hit. This also includes attacks that pushes me back, like Maliketh and Godfrey's Roar. The exception is if only Torrent gets hit, and not me. Number 2. No intentional scripting of bosses, with the exception of the Godskin duo, because they are literally the antithesis to what a good boss is. Number 3. No summons. Pretty easy. Number 4. No glitches. Also easy. And number 5. No going off the path to level. And this means that if I get stuck on Maliketh, I can go grinding to get higher level. After creating the wonderful character, we finally start the journey by killing the grafted Scion. Never mind then. We start off by immediately taking the Grace by Hoarah, which we're going to use later, and follow the only thing I remember from watching Elden Ring speedruns, which is the way to the sleeping pots. And on this road we're getting a few tears, Golden Vow, Smithing Stones, Alexander's Legacy, and the Grace in the Third Church of America. We then pick up the most important sleeping pot ingredients, as well as the Axe Talisman. Since I don't really want to use the Serpent Hunter as a weapon, we need to find an alternative way to get to Altus Plateau. In other words, we're going to need a Dectus Medallion. We pick up the first part in Fort Height, as well as the crafting recipe for Blood Grease while we're at it. Bored of setup, I then upgrade my weapon to +2 and set on my way to Margit. By baiting out Margit Thatcher's slowest attack and strafing it, we can get in a solid punish by utilizing Unsheath. When he gets his hammer out, you can dodge to the right, attack, then dodge back if he does this move. He will then jump towards you, which you can then dodge, and run around for another punish. This builds not only poise, but also bleed, and if you are aggressive enough, which I wasn't, this can lead to massive damage, ending the fight much sooner. After dealing the last blow, we then pay a visit to Godrick to get him to open the gate. After failing to open the gate twice, I take Melna's hand for comfort and get whisked away to Mickey's secret clubhouse. Here I smack Golden Vow on the short sword and teleport back for a third attempt at opening the gates. After getting beaten to death and blown up, I try again, only to immediately fail. Luckily, I managed to dodge correctly this time and claim the closest grace. I then planned to run through the birds, but realized I don't really need golden seeds anyway, since it's a no-hit. So, like the lazy person I am, I take the elevator. Immediately after entering the arena, I get hit by his delayed attack. After realizing that you had to actually dodge it, I went in and tried to strafe it instead. Realizing that brain damage wasn't really going to help me, I finally dodged the attack. Luckily, Godrick has a lot of openings for Unsheath, and this helps massively, since I can both bleed him and get him on his knees. When phase 2 starts, you can run up to him immediately and punish with an Unsheath. You should then punish by either strafing the attack where he jumps in the air, or when he pulls out the dragon. After way too many attempts, I finish him off with Unsheath and begin to walk towards the beach to celebrate. Wait, where's all the sand? God damn it. I guess that's why they say you shouldn't plan a vacation on sketchy sites. With the disappointment weighing heavy on my mind, I decide to visit the school to bring back my depression. Since I can't find the janitor, I have to find the way in myself. After walking around the lake, I realize that he's laying there, sleeping by a rock. Oh well. I then steal the key and run out of there with the wind on my back. I find an old blacksmith and recall that I forgot to get my weapon. I then teleport back to the first step and, after a little bit of riding, pay a visit to the Bloodhound Knight. By drawing out his slowest attack and punching it with Unsheath, the Bloodhound Knights get felled in one attempt. I then upgrade the Bloodhound Fang to +4 with Somber Stones. Not really wanting to go back to school just yet, I instead visit Ohio. Here I get the Somber Smithing Stone 8 and 9, along with the other Dectus Half and Radagon Source Seal. With nothing else to use for my procrastination, I then sneak into the school and decide to take my revenge on the school by putting down the class pet. Finally done with everything else, I then pay a visit to Niall. Since I have a goated weapon, it will surely be easy. Right? Wrong. This fight is a no-hit so dependent on good RNG, it's not even fun. Half the fight is just running around dodging projectiles and summons. I need a real test of skill. I need Radahn. Steeled with this resolve, I make my way into Caelid and immediately forgets the way. Thanks to my immense pathfinding skills, I get to go through Caelid in its entirety. When I finally get to the bridge, I see that the portal isn't really working. After a quick Google search, I find a source that says that I have to cross the bridge and grab the grace. Okay, easy. However, I find no grace. Is this foreshadowing? Is the game telling me that I will fail this challenge? Oh, never mind. It says here that you only have to activate the Dectus lift. After activating the Dectus lift and grabbing the grace closest to the Draconic tree Sentinel, I then teleport back and finally find that I can enter the portal. Before this, I could count the times I have fought Radahn on one hand, and in every one of them, I've been overleveled. I don't really know any of Radahn's attacks, and therefore die extremely quickly on the first attempt. Not one to give up, I slam my head against a brick wall until I finally beat him. To start the fight, I run away with Torrent to unload Radahn. I then buff while waiting for him to approach me. I then immediately try to bait out the Five Nights at Freddy's jump scare and punish with 2 R1s. I then run around him and let him fight his inner demons, before I intervene with a charge R2 after the last attack. He then does the Beyblade attack, where you can get off 1 R1 before you have to dodge forward, left, and then right, where you can then punish with a fully charged R2. He then begins to run a little lap, where he then slams his sword in the ground, which you can then dodge to the side and punish with a fully charged R2. He then does the gravitational pull attack, and here you want to dodge so you can land in front of him, and then run behind him and quickly do both parts of Bloodhound's finesse. And if you've been aggressive enough, he will then stagger, and you can riposte him, and then do the full Bloodhound's finesse right after, while he fulfills his dream of landing on the moon. Phase 2 is pretty much the same, just with a few more things to watch out for. Like this attack, which I hadn't yet encountered, which, with my heart beating in my chest, I barely managed to dodge, and swiftly after deliver the finishing blow. After giving a few teabags of respect, I then watch the beautiful cutscene fold out. I then make use of the grace in Leyndell to start my dance with the Draconic tree Sentinel. I almost no-hit the Sentinel on the first try, but managed to mistime my roll by a fraction of a second. Luckily, I know his moveset pretty well, and I then take advantage of his much safer shield side to deal out massive damage. You can also dodge into his firebolts to punish with an R1. Making my way through Leyndell wasn't really that hard, but I met more resistance from Goldfrey than I was expecting. But by strafing his slow attacks, I managed to easily punish him, and come out on top this time. With Goldfrey out of the way, I then pay his son Morgott a visit. I forgot most of his moveset and therefore had to learn it again, but unlike Radahn, I had a solid base to build upon. The best way to punish Morgott here is to either punish his spear throws or bait out 2 attacks. One, where he spins and slams his weapon into the ground, and another delayed hit with his limited edition CSGO skinned knife. Using this, I managed to get reliably into second phase. In phase 2, however, you cannot rely on the same punishes. Now you have to focus more on strafing the 2 blood flame attacks. By dodging or strafing these, you can punish Morgott reliably. The only other safe option is to bait out a spear. If you dodge this, he can jump towards you, which gives you enough time for a charge R2. By using all this, I finally landed the last hit and grabbed myself a chicken dinner. After teabagging his face for 5 minutes, I finally begin my trip to the mountaintop of the Giants. Along the way, I pick up the Somber +7 in the Forbidden Lands, along with the Somber Smoking Bell +3 outside the First Church of America. When you have a +9 weapon, Fire Giant becomes trivialized. His attacks are easy to dodge, and there's few things to be on guard about. After hacking at him for 5 minutes, he finally goes down, and we travel to the top of the forge, where Malenia is ready with marshmallows. Finally, we are in Fair Majula. The next challenge, Godskin Duel. After failing to sleep both without getting hit, I admit I'd slightly panicked. The thing with sleeping pods is that they only have a limited number of resources. This means that if I fucked up enough, I would have to actually fight them. I therefore prepared to break my own rules and use a Mimic Tear. This was supposed to be a fun challenge run. I then went to Nokron and got the Mimic Tear without any issues whatsoever. I then went back to Limgrave to get some magic shrooms from Bog, along with the Blue Dancer's Charm from the Golem, which I ended up not using. I also paid a visit to Ronnie's neighborhood to find some nice flowers. While there, I tried to grab the Halig Tree medallion, but I was slaughtered by the smell of too much parfum. With everything else out of the way, I was then ready to tackle the foreskins. Surely, I hadn't forgotten anything. I put everything in its place and entered the arena. I then put some space between us and summoned the Mimic Tear, so I could put them to sleep while he distracted them, since I now had everything ready. I forgot the bell! Luckily, you can pretty much teleport freely in Elden Ring, and I therefore bought the bell from the fossils and Mickey's clubhouse. I then entered the arena and tried again. Wait, why isn't it working? You know what? Fuck this. I don't need it. Holy shit. For once, bullshit was actually in my favor. After restarting my heart from that jump scare, I then made my way through the birds that can one-shot me. And after a few tries, finally grabbed the Grace by Maliketh. The big challenge in this fight isn't really Maliketh, but rather the Beast Clergyman. He has less openings and can punish swift and hard. Luckily, you can punish his throws, the one attack where he draws the knife in the ground, and the ground claw attack. Luckily, Maliketh was much easier. You can literally begin the fight with a safe, fully charged R2. You can also bait out his tornado attack for another powerful punish. While standing underneath him, you can also charge R2s left and right without being hit. The next boss is Gideon Ofnir, the worst boss in Elden Ring. He knows one word, which is spam, and he shows it plenty with his actions. Luckily, I have a setup that will kill him without giving him a chance for retaliation. Let's first level up. Here I switch to sword hand so I can easily see which stats work best with the sword. I then buff and make my way to Ofnir. Wait, why isn't Golden Vow working? Fuck it, let's just do the setup. Not wanting to deal with Ofnir, I then searched for a way to cheese him, but I had to make peace with the fact that I had to actually fight him. Reluctant, I nonetheless walked into the arena and tried my best. Wait, this is easy. What was I afraid of? You can literally just unlock him. With that knowledge in mind, it only took a couple attempts for Gideon to take a permanent nap. After showing him the respect that he deserves, we then move on to Hoarah Loux. Here I'm at the same problem of being brain dead when the delayed access in my sights. To beat the first Godfrey phase, you can jump over his stumps with the jump attack, then dodge to the side, and walk until he almost hits the axe in the ground, and then charge a full R2. If you continue with that, you can pretty easily beat phase 1. Phase 2 is a whole nother moveset. You can get a solid punish by walking backwards at the start and punishing with an R2. You then have to avoid his hands while punishing him. The best attack opportunities are usually the grabs, but be careful of the hands, he can hit you out of your roll. Luckily, you can dodge right. You can also punish attack where he lingers after. And with one such punish, Hoarah Loux is Elden Lord no longer. When it comes to Radagon, the best punishers are usually the ones where he slams the ground. Since he's fast, with many openings, you can build poise super fast. One thing to watch out for here is that he can cancel attacks into projectiles, which can come as a surprise. but if you dodge his attacks and punish them accordingly, you can soon find yourself in the presence of the Elden Beast. To start the fight, you can run up beside him and hit him with multiple heavy attacks. He will then swim away and perform another attack. If he attacks with a sword, you can either roll or jump over. If he does light beams, you have to roll. If he sends spikes from the skies, then you can run towards him. If he does rings, then wait, turn around, run forward, and tilt a little to the left after jumping out of the ring. This will put you in a prime position for a punish. And if you follow all of these things, the only thing to watch out for here is Elden Stars. But there is a way to dodge these, and you can dodge it by standing before the Elden Beast, waiting for the casting sounds, and then running to the right. Which you can see I actually did when I annoyed him while collecting footage. The last tip for this fight is that when you break Elden Beast's poise, you can get in multiple attacks that deals more damage than the riposte, which can quickly drain his health, as you can see I took advantage of here. Finishing with Bloodhound's finesse, we have now killed a god. We finally beat the game by knowing all the bosses. But is this really enough? Well, I decided that no, it isn't. I therefore went back to the old Draconic village and got the first part of the Haligtree medallion. That was the easy part. Well, sort of. Anyway, now we fight Niall. To fight Niall, you first need to take care of the Gunners. You can do this by performing both parts of the Bloodhound's finesse. You would think that I would block the second hit, but since it's slow enough that it seems you are approaching, combined with the fact that it is faster than their attack, makes it very possible. So next is Niall. If you dodge the lightning kick fast enough, you can first punish with an R1, then dodge out of the thrust and into the swing for an extra punish. You can also jump in after he has charged you and slam the staff in the ground, as well as the big AoE attack that he also can do, which has so long recovery that you can do both parts of Bloodhound's finesse, a charge R2 and an R1. Down goes Niall. Next step, navigate the consecrated snowfield. First we go down with the secret medallion and grab the grace before the entrance. I then hold right so that I don't fall off the map or have to find a tough NPC and continue forward to the village. We then take the grace in what I was about to say Ulasil, but it's actually Ordina, liturgical town. We then head left into the woods and demolish the Sanguine Noble. I then head off to the portal that leads to Mogh's secret evil lair. You first have to run through the lake and follow the way up the mountain. Fighting the enemies there is a waste of time, so running is really the best option. Before fighting Mogh, we first need a tear that reduces his Niall attack. I therefore head to Altus and find the church where we can find Eleonora. After killing her, we find the purifying crystal tear and teleport back to Mogh. We then take the elevator up to Mogh and buff before entering the arena. Mogh is so slow you can punish most of his attacks with either an R1 or an R2. When he drags a flame in your face, you can roll into it and punish with an R2. When he readies up for Nihil by following Dora's counting lessons, you can punish with a fully charged R2. After he is done shouting Nihil, he will then begin to fly all over the place and throw blood. Here it is very important to stay close. You can punish the same openings as last time, but you have to be careful of the fiery blood. By dodging his blood and punishing, Mogh is now down. The next step is then to light the torches in Ordina so we can get access to the Haligtree. You can then grab the first grace and continue. When running down the tree, make sure to jump when the ants are about to attack so you don't get hit. This is much easier than rolling since it is faster and consumes less stamina. You can then climb down the ladder and touch some grass. If you have more health, you can jump down to the ants and roll into the house, but since we have minimal health, we have to take the normal route. When you come to the drawbridge, you can then jump to the left to unlock the shortcut. When it comes to Loretta, it is very similar to the Draconic tree Sentinel. Basically, just dodge to the left and attack. Though when she has her phalanx out, you should hold a little distance and run to the side to dodge instead. You can also, in some cases, punish her reappliance of the phalanx. And when she tries to snipe you with magic arrows, you can roll into them and attack her. When she starts the second phase, you can dodge her lightsaber attacks and get in a pretty big punish. I then run through the Halig tree and finally meet the sister of Miquella.
I am Malenia, Blade of Miquella. And I have never known defeat.
When it comes to Malenia, she has many openings, but the hard part is reacting after and choosing correct response. The most common attack is the one where she hits 3 times into a sweep. If you have a great sword, you can poke her after the 3 initial strikes, but you cannot do that with Bloodhound Fang. The best response is therefore to dodge to the right side, then jump backwards, and if she waits before doing the sweep, you can do a heavy jump attack. Though if her sweep comes immediately, get ready for a follow-up attack. When the thrust attack comes, I perform the first part of the weapon arch. Not only does it do good damage, but it also puts enough space between Malenia and me, so that I can run in case she does the waterfowl. Since she has pretty low poise, you can sometimes knock her out of attacks, but be careful not to get hit first. When she does the kick, you can run backwards, turn with a little circle, and punish with the running R2. The reason you do a little circle first is that so you don't get the turn animation and get hit instead. When it comes to waterfowl, you can run from it. If it's so close, like in this example, that you can run, you have to run into Malenia, look off the camera, run a little circle around her, and dodge 2 times to the side before turning the camera, rolling into her, before rolling forward and away from Malenia on the 3rd part. You can punish waterfowl with a running R1, but don't try running R2. Trust me, you will be punished. When she does 2 advancing swings, walk backwards. If she then slams the ground, you can do jumping R2 on her. When she starts phase 2, you can run into her and around her to misdirect her flower. You can then run a little away and buff. When the flower fades, you should punish with the first part of Bloodhound's Finesse. This will, in theory, allow you to dodge waterfowl much easier. When she does the slow attack, where she hits upward, you can normally strafe it into a charge R2, but that isn't safe in phase 2. The safest option is therefore to dodge the downswing and punish with an R1. If she leaps into the air, you can dodge to the right side and do the first part of Bloodhound's Finesse, in case of waterfowl. If she does the Spirit Clone move, you can roll 2 times back before the first clone hits, then immediately 1 forward, wait a second, roll forward, and when Malenia has her sword at the highest peak, dodge to the right. Don't punish this, since it can quickly lead to a hit. And finally, down goes Malenia. We've finally done it. And now we can go into the DLC with knowledge that I have killed Miquella's entire family without getting hit a single time. And with that said, goodbye, and may the grace be ever in your favor.